Hello everyone, Kappolo here. Last week I took the original dash to a ProQuest top 8. I will give you a short summary of the ProQuest and then jump into the deck tech. My list is a bit different than Mary Kemp's top 8 of the calling, and if you want me to do a deck tech of his list, please let me know down in the comments. Quick recap about the ProQuest. The first round I faced Bravo. I'm able to put out some of the items but not of the items and playing a bit defensive, and I was able to grind them down, so I won. Second round I play against Dory. I ended up losing the match. I kept some items in that I should not have, and the sword got some counters, and then in one attack my opponent was able to go over an unmovable plus 2 sink belows. The third and fourth round were against Levia. The third round was quite close, but I was able to win with one card in the deck. In the fourth round I was able to leverage the new cards from Bright Lights to put the opponent under pressure and win pretty quickly. Last round of the Swiss I played against another Dory. This time I was able to stem the bleeding with the sword and then cheap damage with the pistol. Then in top 8 I got paired against the only Lexi in the top 8. I decided to go second and go for a more aggressive boost plan. Problem was pretty quickly, my opponent was able to Icequake one of my maximum velocity turns, so I could not go off. Then there were a couple of 3 of a kind turns that put me in the back foot and I was losing life. Then I was able to almost get ready for another maximum velocity turn to kind of leverage the playing field, but I got hit with an Icequake, so I was forced to block. And then Rain Razor at the end to finish the game, so lost in top 8. I'm most likely going to play the same 80 cards going forward. Let's jump into the deck tech. This is my main loadout. We only play with pistol as a weapon. We play with Colonel Providence, Tekla Foundry Heart, Goliath Gauntlets and Achilles Accelerators. Those are pretty much standard equipment nowadays. Then if we are playing against Wizards, Kano and Icelander, we're gonna bring the Visitronic model for extra 2 Arcane Barrier. And if we are playing in a matchup which requires more blocking, we are going to play with an Adaptive Plating. This is gonna take over the arm slot. The Adaptive Plating is quite good just because it provides one block, and if you're desperate, you can sacrifice either Induction Chamber or Plasma Purifier or any other items you have lying around for blocking for 3. This is the main deck 60 that I would start with. We have the usual suspect of the 0 to 60s, and the zipper hits, those are in rainbow. To make space for the new cards, we cut the yellow throttle to play only the blue and the red ones. Then we are playing Combustible Courier, which is a good card to force opponent to block to get out cards or push extra damage. Then after this, we are playing with the Pulse Wave Harpoon. This card is really good in the deck. And the first new card we're going to see is the Underloop. I do like this. It's a 4 attack for 1 resource, and this goes to the bottom of the deck. This is especially useful because in the fatigue matchup you can play this card and it's gonna force either opponent to block with 2 cards or use an equipment, otherwise it goes to the bottom of the deck. So you have extra deck to work with, and also it's a red, so it's pretty good late game. T-Bone, right now I'm playing with only the blue and the red. If you expect lots of Lexi in the meta game, you should probably play the yellow too. But so far I like this configuration of the blue and the reds. Then for the big turns we of course have maximum velocity. We all know this card is really powerful. And then we have High Octane. To enable maximum velocity, I'm playing with Twin Drive, which is quite good with a double boost if you have maximum velocity set up. There are plenty of new cards that are 3 attacks for 0 resources, which could be good enablers for maximum velocity, but they are bad cards otherwise. Like attacking for 3, almost every card blocks for 3, so they're gonna be easily blocked if they want to block, and also gonna run through the deck. And if you don't have maximum velocity, those cards are not great. They're like T-Bone but without the upside of forcing them to block with an equipment. For this reason, I decided in my build not to include any of the new boost cards that attack for 3 for 0 resources, and I went to a better average turn instead of just preying on the maximum velocity turns, because sometimes maximum velocity can be banished, can be at the bottom of the deck. so you cannot rely on just maximum velocity. Lastly, concluding the main deck, we have Spark of Genius, of course, to get our items. We're playing 3 Teclo Cores and 3 Teclo Pounder. We are gonna start the game, of course, with Teclo Pounder if we are in the main deck configuration. If we go in the sideboard configurations, in some matchups, you start with the induction chamber, as we're gonna see in a second. But this is a pretty streamlined list, everything is a 3-off. The deck is pretty solid, runs smooth, has good turns, and maximum velocity whenever I have access to it, it's not hard to pull it off. Besides when I played against Lexi that I got ice quaked. Let's see the sideboard. This is my sideboard. We're playing 3 Plasma Purifier, 2 Induction Chamber, 3 Sinks Below, 3 Immovable, and 2 Reinforce the Line. We sideboard only against certain matchups, the matchups that we need to block a bit more, like Dorinthia or Lexi, depending how you feel. But there is like 2 configuration. One is against Guardians, and if you plan to go for the pistol plan, you side in the Purifier, the Induction Chambers, and all of the defense reactions. And what I side out is the Red Combustible Carrier, maximum velocity, because we will not be able to boost 3 times. Our plan is to go for the pistol and get the items as soon as possible. I did cut Twin Drive against the Bravo. I feel like 2 resources for 5 attack is on the mediocre side if you want to play them. And then I cut the High Octane and the Red T-Bone. I could see a world where you cut the 3 T-Bones and only 1 High Octane, leaving you 2 High Octane in the deck when late game you want to boost an attack multiple times with a pistol. Yeah, I feel like this configuration is actually better, cutting these 13 cards for these 13 cards. When we're going for a more defensive build instead, we are gonna keep the defense reactions, but we are gonna only play with 2 Induction Chambers and 1 Purifier. So you cut this, but instead of cutting the reds, what you want to do is to actually cut the blue item because they don't block. So we cut the 3 Teclo Pounders and we cut the Teclo Cores. So this is 6, and this is only 11 cards to bring to match. And from this 6, we cut the maximum velocities and 2 combustible carriers. This is 11 cards, and this go back in the deck. So this is the This is the card that I would cut out against, for example, Dorinthia. This is the example that comes to my head since I played it twice last weekend. And bring in these items, and you start with the Induction Chamber. I did really enjoy this deck for the ProQuest, and I will play again. As I said in the deck tech, the main reason why I'm not playing the 3 attacks for 0 resources, it's because in the game plan where you don't draw maximum velocity, they're quite mediocre. Changes you could make is add more 4 attacks for 1 resource, you can play around. I felt like Underloop could be better just because of the fatigue matchups and forcing them to block with 2 cards, or at least you have another card. This is the reasoning for the deck. I really like it, and I'll probably be playing going forward. And if you want to see the deck tech for the Merrick Camp list, please let me know down in the comments. Thanks everybody for watching. Bye bye.